Well, what's going on, everybody? So I've taken a week or so and a half off just because I got a new mechanic. My son was born. I'm gonna shoot that in right here. And I'm excited. After a week of taking care of him, mom, and everybody else, I just thought I'd come out here and spend a couple hours in the garage, getting back and giving an update on what's going on with the car. So one of the things that I found out after running it for about 5 to 10 minutes the week before my son was born was that the radiator in it shot. And in order to fix that, one thing I got to do is replace one of the radiator lines, or the transmission cooler lines that come up to the radiator. And the original one that was in the car kind of fit, didn't fit. It stretched and I made it fit, and I don't think it was ever the right line. So I bought some new tubing, and hopefully it's 1/4 inch, because I think that's what it is. I ordered it while I was in the hospital because I was sitting there for basically 3 days waiting for my son to be born, and had nothing better to do except watch YouTube on my phone. Oh, that reminds me, just yesterday my wife and I got really tickled, and her aunt got really tickled, because if you're not familiar with the Old Man's Garage, they pinned one of my comments at the top, and we got tickled by it because I watched him raise Billy and Tommy and did a really good job. But we were just tickled by it because as we were sitting there watching the episodes after we got home from the hospital, her aunt Peggy said that Vicky reminded her of my wife's mom, Donna, which my wife had lost when she was just 7 years old. And that was, so I feel like there's a bigger connection. And my wife always loved watching SRC Garage and now the Old Man's Garage with me, just because she felt some kind of connection. But over the weekend, the two was put together. Well, anyway, the comment got pinned to the top. It was really sweet of them. I never expected it. I just, I want to be able to raise my son, Wyatt, the way Bill has raised his boys, and the way my dad raised me, and I want to keep the generations going. Anyway, enough of that. So thanks, Bill. That made our weekend, if you're watching this. So the problem that we had with the car was I went to go top off the radiator fluid, and all of a sudden it shot up red. And I was wondering too at the same time why my transmission was drinking so much transmission fluid as I was topping that off during its 5-minute run. It was supposed to be a 20-minute break-in period, but it turned into a 5-minute run when I saw the fluid pop up out of it. So I'll probably put in a picture of that mess here. The other issue that I'm going to be able to address tonight is it had a little bit of belt line to it, and we figured out that the alternator wasn't quite lined up with it. Now, the alternator that I got from Tough Stuff is a really nice alternator. I don't want to stick with it, but while I was also in the hospital, I was able to sit there and think about what can I do to overcome this issue. So I went and got myself some 1/4 inch plate out of the shed, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend the alternator bracket. And the reason why I'm going to do that is the bearing for the alternator, when it's in its original configuration, it slams up against the cylinder head and it can't go any further back. So that means that the belt jets out and then slightly cocks because the pulley is just out, I would say about a 1/16 of an inch too far forward from the engine, and it doesn't align with the water pump pulley or the crank pulley. So if I kick it just a little bit further out, or if I pivot the alternator just a little bit further out, then that little bearing race there for the alternator can clear the cylinder heads, and it'll be right next to the exhaust manifold. I'm not worried about that part of it, but it'll be able to clear it and set back where it needs to be, and then the belt should wrap around there and be all straight and get rid of the belt line, I'm hoping. The other thing is I'm not too impressed with the cooling fan that I bought, just because it is so damn noisy. I might switch that out. But the car doesn't have AC on it, and I want to keep it running cold all the time. So we're probably going to be changing up parts with that. But I think for this video here, we're going to yard out the transcooler line, and we're going to make a new alternator bracket, and at least tonight get the alternator fitted in there the way it should be. So looking down in here at the alternator, you can kind of see that I got the water pump pulley bolted up there, and you can see it kind of quite doesn't line up with the alternator. So my plan is to go and take this bracket off here. I'm going to trace it out a new one out of 1/4 inch steel. I'm going to make it the same length. I'm going to add just a little bit longer because I got plenty of room down there to kick the alternator out, and I'll show you on the other side. Pardon the shadows, but that's the bearing race right there I was talking about. And it just ever so barely bumps the head, and I think once I unbolt this, I can kick it out just a little bit past that, get a rough measurement and cut a bracket for it, and figure it out what it's supposed to actually be. And that's why I got some 1/4 inch steel out of the shed. Whoops. Bang, bang, bang around. So if I get this bolt out of the way, I can go see how it's out of room on this top tensioner bracket, but I can bring it over. You can literally bring this whole thing over, all the way over, and actually you can see back there. Let me get the camera in here. If you look down deep in there, you can see that scrape mark where the alternator was rubbing from when I was pulling it off and tightening it. But if I bring it over like that, now you can come over here, and you can see I got all the clearance in the world. One sec. See, now you can see I get all the clearance in the world to make this alternator fit just fine. And I'll have to go out. I had to go buy a new belt anyway, so I might as well get the alternator in there where it needs to be before I go buy a new belt. But that's what we're going to do. I had to stop what I was doing. My wife needed some help. She got this really cool bottle drying off rack, and it works great, but the only problem is it doesn't drain back into the kitchen sink. So I said, I got something that'll take care of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill a couple 16th holes, 1/8 inch holes, whatever this bit is, in the bottom of this side. So that way it can drain. My luck is it'll probably drain in the wrong spot and make a mess all over the kitchen counter and the floor, but oh well. Mama wants, mama gets, right? We got some holes. I'll have to find my edge cleaner upper 9000. But I got looking at this as I was carrying it out. I don't know what the camera can see, but it really reminds me of all the headstones that they do at Arlington National Cemetery and you can see how evenly spaced out they are, and it's so pretty and so sad at the same time of all the men and women that fought for this country and never came home. My heart goes out to them and all their families. But on to the next. Got my big old piece of steel right here. And right here I got my pattern cut out, or drawn out. Matches the original part that was there, wherever I put that thing. It's hard to keep track of everything. We're gonna slide this back here. We'll come right in here with the torch, probably cut the inside piece out first, and then follow along, cut the outside piece out. We'll clean it all up with the grinder, and then I think I got probably something over in the scrap pile that I could take and bend this arch in, maybe something like 1/4 inch wide, because that other piece was dimpled. Where the hell did it go? I'm gonna have to find it. So right here I got this one. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you should be able to. And this one, I got my pattern right there in permanent marker. And it should, I'm making it extra long so that way I can cut it off when I'm done. Like if I only need an extra 1/2 inch here, I can cut the rest of this off. Cut it off there, put my 3/8 holes through it, cut out a slot or a groove, and it'll look brand new. And then, like I was saying, this part's dimpled, and dimpling, all that does is give it its strength. And I won't be able to restamp a part number in it or the Ford logo because it's aftermarket, it's custom. But we're gonna get after it. Cut 1/4 inch like butter. I got my settling set at 6. My oxygen set at 42. Alright, not too bad. I mean, we got baby version, daddy version. Kind of like me and my son. We're gonna go take this over and clean it all up with the grinder so it's all nice and pretty. So, well, I could tell you what I'm gonna do, or I could just go get it done. Man, I have lost my proficiency with the weld torch. I think this is about the point in time where a belt sander would come in real handy. But I got my basic shape, and now I'm going to go test fit it in the car. It's a little warm to touch. I got a couple sharp edges I'm going to knock off to keep it from chipping any paint. Wanted to get you guys in here and show you a little trick that I learned a long time ago. So I wanted to grind this down, make it a little flatter and a little straighter. If you put it in there, start one end of the vise right about there, take the other end, put it right about there, lock it down, you can go through and knock down the high spots real quick, and this other jaw vise, or the jaw of the vise, will act as a hard stop for your flapper disc, and it'll end up being pretty straight. It won't be perfect, but it'll be pretty straight. So this back bracket ended up being pretty damn strong, and it's pretty stiff and rigid. I'm not going to worry about really gusseting it or dimpling it like it was in like the original one was. I'm just going to throw it up in there. I'll get you in there one sec. So I'm going to put in this bracket here, and I'm going to lop it off and make a dot where I think I can live with. Right about there, and a hole right there in the center. We're going to punch a 3/8 hole. We're going to cut it off, punch a 3/8 hole in there, put the bolt back in it, and then maybe find a pencil and put it in the back side, so that way we can move the alternator and kind of trace ourselves a line right through here. And then we'll know where to cut it out at. So a little trick I learned a long time ago is I'm going to take this pencil, shove it through the back side of the alternator bolt hole, and mark where it's going to land on my bracket. Take a little paint, spray it on there, because a pencil mark or a permanent marker ain't going to fit through there. Take it, put it through that hole, and swivel it around. Just like that. You can see that. Then you'll have a nice dot where you need to cut or drill. So as what I got here is I'm just going to go to the edge of this hole that I made already, and that's about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scribe a line that follows this curve. It's not quite the right size yet. I should probably really drill that out, and then I'll know. And then I can scribe another line and do it on the other side too, so that way it's a nice even scribed line, and I can follow it the whole way through when I go to take out this notch. Now I got two good holes there, and I can come back through and just trace it all out. I think I'm probably going to get the torch out and cut that off. So after a little bit of time, got a nice slot cut here. It should be more than enough. I can always lengthen it if I need to. But little cleanup work, and I think I got a new alternator bracket for the car. We're going to put it in. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. I'm going to put this bracket probably in tomorrow. I'll try to find some time. So in an hour or so it took me to build it. I got it and I didn't have to buy it. Saved myself some money on this car, and the alternator's going to fit in there right. It might have a few more fitment issues and some adjustment, but we'll get it figured out. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, like. It's on one side or the other of the screen. You guys have a good night and stay tuned for more of the 62 Thunderbird build.